who the narcissist picks next. Well, this is all about the question of after you've gone through a relationship with a narcissist, it's interesting to see the type of personality he picks next. I have found that it will depend on the narcissist, his particular situation, whether he is well off or not, what stage of life he's in, and a lot of other things, and also what his pathology is, what he needs to get out of that person. I think that's the most important. Now I'm going to tell you about my situation, because I think by giving you an actual account, obviously I'm going to leave out any identifying details, but by giving you an actual account, I think it helps you to understand the dynamic better, so that you can relate it to your own situation and kind of put the pieces together. Now, a lot of people would be saying, oh, well, you don't need to be bothering about the narcissist who they pick next, you just need to get over them. But I found in myself that I need to put the puzzle pieces back together in order to kind of get some closure within myself. And this is kind of how the puzzle pieces have fitted together in my case. Now, my narcissist has been going out with somebody for about, let's say about 10 months. And that's from the day he met her. Obviously, it was straight into a relationship like a narcissist. Firstly, I'm going to give you a little bit of background on me, for those of you that don't know about me, because I think that will give you the pattern of what this particular narcissist, the pattern he's following. And it will help you to identify in your particular situation what patterns your narcissist might follow. Now with me, I have been married to him for a long time, 17 years. And in my case, I came into the marriage, I was quite vulnerable because I was educated in Africa. I came from a very dysfunctional family. I now realize narcissistic as well. But I also had severe dyslexia. And I had been quite literally pummeled at school, just emotionally, psychologically, by the teachers, by the other kids. And I had been pummeled at home. And I started off in this relationship with a very low self-esteem, very shamed, believing that I was worth very little, because I came from a family where going to college was the unspoken rule, and if you did not go to college, you were really shamed. There was no help through school. I didn't even finish school. So I came into this marriage, and this person presented himself as absolutely wonderful, and he was totally accepting of my disabilities, and I thought, this is the most wonderful person, and if anybody's going to be able to help me to kind of, get onto my feet and pull things right, it's going to be him. My thoughts were always, my best wish would be to be totally self-sufficient, have a career. I mean, that is my ultimate dream, and I believe that I'm going to get there, even though the situation has gone from bad to worse with the narcissist. But anyway, that's a different story. So that's also my family of origin. They were what you would call his family. Well, my family they were sort of more educated. My father was a reasonably high-powered executive. He helped my ex to get his footing he showed him all the ropes. He showed him how to basically, in some ways, how to act in the corporate environment and that type of thing. Now, my ex has got to the stage now. He's a high-powered executive in a blue-chip company. We're sort of never been very religious, but sort of Christian origins. He's in good health. He's not overweight or anything. He's average looking. He's a citizen in the United States. Now the next partner that he's picked along this journey, which he has now been going out for about 10 months, is a very unusual person for somebody like that to pick, I think, in a lot of respects. Although I can see the similarities to myself within her in some ways, even though she is totally different to me. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about her. Firstly, we live in the United States. She is an illegal immigrant. She comes from Indonesia. Her English is not very good. She also struggles with writing emails because her English is so bad. She struggles with understanding what's going on. Sometimes in communications, she is Muslim. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I'm just pointing out different aspects of her, just to show you so that you can pick different things up. She is coming out of a very abusive relationship, which my ex, Narc, is helping her with. She has been shunned by her own people because she's getting a divorce, apparently. She has a child of about 12 years old. She is also she has worked at Starbucks for 10 years. So that's basically what I know about her. My kids tell me that she's a nice person. Yeah, and maybe she is. I'm sure she is a nice person. It's hard to say because obviously she's still in the, impressing stage. But it sounds almost like she is kind of like a victim. Now, how I see her similar to myself is that she's vulnerable. She struggles with English. Apparently, he writes all her emails and all her correspondence for her. And so I see her as vulnerable. She's a similar age to him. So there's nothing on that front. But now if you think about him, he's a high-powered executive. He's fit and healthy. He has wonderful career prospects, a lot of them because of their narcissism, because he knows how to manipulate people so well. And it's just unusual that somebody like that, because although this doesn't always happen, I'm just pointing out certain things, but it's unusual that somebody like that should go for somebody of a totally different culture, who even struggles with the language, a totally different background. I mean, okay, we're in America, and South Africans, we're actually originally South African. South Africans are a bit different, but I mean, this is a totally different culture, totally different religion. Also, interestingly, somebody who's been isolated, which narcissists really like. So it's just a little unusual. Also for the fact that she's vulnerable because she is an illegal immigrant. So I think that because he is in the wonderful stage, I mean, a narcissist in this situation, they write lists of all the likes and dislikes of the person. He is really going out of his way to act like this most wonderful individual, and in fact he is helping her with her abusive ex, and he is the wonderful angel, guardian angel, and he is taking over all her difficulties like he did with me, because I was dyslexic, and I was only too happy. I thought, oh, this is a wonderful person, he's so smart, and all the things that I struggle with he's really good at, and we can complement each other. Again, he's picked somebody that's very vulnerable, that needs him to step in, because firstly, he wants to be the one that's the boss. He wants to be pulling making all the decisions, and he wants her to think, to get narcissistic supply, her to think he's absolutely wonderful. That's apparently what's happening. She thinks he is God, and all his angels come down in one person, that type of thing. And so now there was another thing that I realized in this situation. I went through a stage where I felt incredible anger towards her, and I thought that was strange, because I am not in love with my narcissist. Some people may still be afterwards, but I think for a long time, even before I left him, I was not in love with him, actually for many years, because of the way he treated me. I was just too afraid to leave, because of the brainwashing, and because of the situation and some of the stuff that had happened. So, I mean, I thought it was strange that I felt this incredible anger towards her, and yet I wasn't in love with him, so it shouldn't matter. But I subsequently came to realize what might be the reason for that. Firstly, right through my life, with having a narcissistic family of origin, and then going straight into a narcissistic relationship, which I was unaware of at all. I didn't even know what narcissism was. I was so, my life and everything had been dysfunctional right from the beginning. I had everything that I said was invalidated. Well, not everything, but you get the picture. So whatever I said, somebody would be contradicting it and saying, no, that's wrong, or that's not quite right, or you shouldn't feel like that. And when I realized what this narcissist had done to me, and I started to close everything down and say, hey, you know what, I'm not dealing with this, I'm getting out. And I didn't even know about the narcissistic smear campaign. I was strongly stating what was happening, and as other people will realize that have been through this, obviously I was coming up against the flying monkeys that narcissists project out, and firstly trying to overcome my own brainwashing in the situation, and the way that he lied, where he'd put facts in the middle of the lie. So whenever I contradicted him, just ignore that. Whenever I contradicted him, he would... I'm just going to have to... 1 minute. Apologies about that. I thought I'd turned all the phones off. Anyway, so I obviously am very sensitive about not being believed, and about people saying contrary things to what I've said. And because this woman is apparently thinks he's the sun, stars, moon, and why wouldn't you, with And because I'm saying all these bad things, he's kind of getting her to counteract what I'm saying. So it's through her he's counteracting what I've said, which is the truth. And I believe that was one of the reasons I was feeling so much anger towards her. The other thing is that she does not earn very much money. In fact, he's paying most of her bills, and yet she is dishing out money to my children. She is bribing them. She is the sun, moon, and stars to them. Whereas I'm like totally devastated. I have to try and get my career together. I've been through a bloody court case, which I've lost, which normally happens with the victims. Even though I have fought, up till late at night trying to get through this stuff. It's been 2 years of hell. So I don't have any money, and I'm devastated. I'm suffering with PTSD, the complex PTSD, from years of manipulation, and I'm angry and everything else, and that causes another thing. Also, he has already tried, but he suddenly realized he'd actually bought a house with her. But then he'd accepted, an offer had been accepted that he and this woman had put in on a house. She wasn't going to pay for it at all, just him. And they were getting ready to set up their little family when he suddenly realized that because the divorce had not gone through, that whatever house he bought, I had a right to be on the title of the house. So he quickly had to decline on that. But I believe in the next few months he will be buying a house with her and setting up home with my kids, which, you have to accept. And in a normal divorce, if these kind of things hadn't happened to me, and the things weren't so devastating, and like he'd taken everything, I'm sure that I could come to terms with a lot more. But just the whole setup had left a really bitter taste in my mouth. And with him suddenly saying now he's acting like he's the all good one, and we're just setting up a happy little family, and you kids, your mom's upset, but you can have your happy little family here. So almost like trying to suck my children away from me as well, and that makes it very difficult. Okay, well, that's my situation. So what I was saying, that it depends on the narcissist. What can also happen is if the narcissist doesn't have money, they might go for an older woman who has money. Maybe she's overweight or whatever, but therefore he's actually going for her money, because maybe he in his younger years would have gone for somebody that was a lot more attractive, but he will go for somebody that's older, somebody who feels self-conscious, but then they have other things that are beneficial to him. Also, if he gets somebody that has some vulnerability, he will play on that vulnerability. And what the narcissist's aim is, and it's just like what you get in a cult. They actually are a small cult. Narcissists are like exactly the same as a small cult leader. They are actually finally out there to subjugate the spouse. Now, you do get some spouses that are because of childhood narcissism, that's the only relationship that they can kind of so-called be happy in. That's definitely not the case with me. I was frightened, but happy in that, no. But you do get some narcissists that like that, or codependent type people that like that kind of, they can only be happy with a narcissist. When they're with not a narcissist, they're not happy. But you know, the thing is that he is going to make the next person's life hell as well. Whether they're going to be able to get out or not, who knows? Whether they're going to actually realize that it's not them, that it's the narcissist, who knows? You know, sometimes it takes a long time. And obviously he's going to get his claws into her, because firstly she's lost all her community and everything. She's dependent on him, and he's also going to take her self-esteem down, because he's going to make comments that aren't overtly aggressive, but just things that make the person feel inferior, and feel that they won't cope. He also, another tactic he uses is he will, if he learns how to do something, he keeps it a secret. He doesn't tell the other person how it's done. He's also the type of narcissist that infantilizes, like the children. He makes sure that they don't do any chores, and they are, I mean, my daughter, my teenage daughter, she is like a teenage infant, because he kind of has not allowed her to take on any chores, but he's not doing it for her benefit at all. In fact, it's to her detriment. The only reason he's doing it is because he wants them totally dependent on him. He also dishes out their money, their pocket money, in tiny little bits, and he asks them everything, what they're going to do with this money, what's this money for. He doesn't give them a lump sum and allow them to learn how to budget and work with money. It's all part of his manipulation. So and what I would like to also get from you guys is the other, maybe your narcissists, if you've seen any patterns and you have any ideas as to why they've gone for the particular people afterwards that they have gone with. If you can see any reasons for it, that would be so interesting. So I would appreciate if you tell me about that. And if you like this video, please subscribe to me. It's Daylight Out of Darkness, and you can then see the rest of the videos that I have on YouTube, as well as any new ones that I upload in the future. Thank you. Bye.